actually women were critically important through the entire pre-revolutionary years and especially during the Revolution. In the years that led up to the Revolution, they were really the critical people involved in the boycotts. They were the consumers. And none of those boycotts that got all the laws repealed would have ever been successful unless women had agreed not to buy cloth, not to buy tea. And they did with great enthusiasm, and they signed public documents saying they wouldn't drink tea, which was really a remarkably radical thing for women to do, have their names in the paper saying, I stand for liberty. And so they were critical players before the Revolution. And during the Revolution, because it was a home front war, they took care of farms and businesses while their fathers or sons or husbands were away. And if they had not done that, there would have been nothing to come home to. They raised funds for Washington's army. And in fact, the first major fund drive ever to take place in America was led by a group of Philadelphia matrons who organized the city very carefully into wards, appointed ward leaders, went door to door, which also was quite shocking for respectable married women to knock on people's doors who they didn't know. They collected in Philadelphia alone over $300,000, and then they sent the plan for how to do this to women in other, now states, and they raised a great deal of money for Washington's army. Women in other cities went door to door and collected pewter and anything that could be made into ball and shot for the American army. Women made clothing for the American army, and since the army was really traveling on a budget, it's usually referred to as a ragtag army, everything that women did that was sort of a quartermaster corps, a volunteer quartermaster corps supplying the army, was critically important.
Some of the roles women held during the Revolutionary War while they were at home included taking care of the family, taking care of the family farm, or taking care of the family business. Sybil Ludington rode 40 miles on a horse to sound an alarm to wake up men and warn them that the British were going to attack. Abigail Adams wrote a letter to her husband when he was away at the Continental Congress telling him to remember the ladies. Remember the ladies means don't forget their liberties and keep them in mind in what is being discussed in Philadelphia. Phyllis Wheatley was a slave in Boston. She was owned by the Wheatley family, who taught her to read and write. She wrote and published poems to campaign the political cause. Eliza Pinckney took care of her father's 600-acre rice plantation when he was sent to the war. Lydia Dara became a spy when the British soldiers used her house for their secret meetings. She learned of their plans to attack the Patriots and then alerted the Patriots of the British's plans to attack. Nancy Hart protected her home when the British soldiers stopped by to mess things up. Some of the roles women had during the Revolutionary War while they were at war included being nurses, cooks, soldiers, maids, and seamstresses. Betty Hager found cannons left by the British, and she fixed them up for the Patriots to use. Deborah Sanston dressed as a man and used a man's name to join the army and fight for the cause. When Margaret Corbin's husband died in battle, she took his place and began shooting the cannons. Molly Pitcher brought water to the men during the battle. She took her husband's place during the battle if he died. Some sources say Molly Pitcher is just a general name for the women who went to battle with their husbands. It is better to wear a homespun coat than to lose our liberty. This was the Daughters of Liberty slogan. It means that they would rather make and wear their own clothing than lose their liberty by using British goods. Who are the Daughters of Liberty? The Daughters of Liberty are women who joined together to support the cause of freedom. What did the Daughters of Liberty do? They boycotted British textiles and teas. They made their own Liberty tea using herbs that they had, and they made clothes and had spinning bees.